My guest at this time is a WWE Hall of Famer and Olympic gold medalist. It's true. It's damn true. It's Kurt Angle. Kurt, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
Thanks for chatting with me.
No problem. It's the pleasure is all mine. So let's get to it here first. The reason we set this thing up, you got some new sneakers that just dropped here from Garaxon. How did you get teamed up with them? How did these sneakers come about?
Well, I was interested in doing sneakers, and I contacted a friend of mine who reached out to Garrison, and they decided to do a custom-made sneaker for Kurt Angle, and I was very excited, and I wanted to see their style and the company, and what direction they wanted to go, and they wanted to go in the same direction as me, so cool. I just decided to do it with Garrison Studios.
Very cool. So how much input did you have on these sneakers? What was it like to work with that team?
It was great. I approved everything that they did, from detailing to making the shoe to the colors, obviously the slogans and the logos. It was all a team effort by all of us. And it took us a good year and a half to make it.
Damn, yeah, that's a lot of work. I mean, is this, with the sneakers out now, are you interested in doing more in the clothing business? Is that something you're getting into here, kind of in your post in-ring career now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about doing a pair of wrestling shoes. I was going to do that first because of the Olympics.
Yeah.
But we decided to make a custom-made sneaker, a more comfortable thing that more of the mainstream media or, the fans would appreciate, and not just the wrestling fan.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. Yeah, with the Olympic tie-in there, I'm sure some wrestling shoes have been great. It'd been nice to see a pair of Kurt Angle shoes on Gable Steveson there as he did his backflip after winning that Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. He had my shoes on when he won the gold medal. You're absolutely right.
Well, it's still cool, Kurt. And what did you think of that, man? Gable Steveson, he's the man of the moment. He's the new Olympic gold medalist. What did you think about Gable's big win there at the Olympics?
What I was surprised at was the fact that he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say this in a negative way, but for a boy to win the Olympics at a man's heavyweight division, the real men are up in the upper weights. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of incredible guys, men in the lower weights, but you're talking about horses, guys that are in the 30s, mid-30s, that have matured a lot more than Gable. And for him to not be at full mental and physical maturity and still win the gold, that shows the potential this kid has. It's unlimited.
Yeah, absolutely. Still so young, and it sounds like a ton of opportunities available. I've heard he's had talks with, obviously, MMA promotions. You've heard the NFL, but also, he was at SummerSlam with WWE. I've heard recently he's been calling himself the modern day Kurt Angle. How do you feel about the moniker? Yeah, how do you feel about that moniker?
Well, I think it's awesome. It only gives him credibility, but he has some big shoes to fill. I didn't just have a decent career in pro wrestling. I had one of the greatest careers of all time. So he has a lot of pressure on him. And if he wants to call himself the modern day Kurt Angle, he's more than welcome to. Good luck to you, Gable, and I hope you do make it. I hope you become the modern day Kurt Angle.
So would you like to see him make that transition? Do you think he'd be a good fit for WWE or wherever else he may wind up in pro wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how good of a showman he is. I don't know how he is, his personality. I don't know if he can be versatile with his character and personality. Obviously, they're going to promote him as an Olympic gold medalist the same way they did as me, but I had a character, that worked extremely well. And, I rubbed people the wrong way when I first came in the business, and, the fans. And that was the work of Vince McMahon. I'm sure if Vince signs this kid, he's going to have a direction for him.
Yeah, and it sounds like the direction with WWE right now is they're focusing more on athletes and not necessarily independent wrestlers. I was just at the WWE tryout camp in Vegas, and Triple H said 90% of the people that were at that camp had never been in a pro wrestling ring before at all. What do you think about the decision to focus less on independent talents and more on like legitimate athletes like yourself? I mean, it's worked out really well for him with guys like you and Brock Lesnar, obviously.
Yes, it did, but I would tread very lightly on that because there are a lot of incredible independent wrestlers. Wrestlers that never did any real sport, but they're very good at their craft. And I would like to see the percentage. You know, fortunately for me, I was a real athlete and, you know, won a gold medal in the Olympics. But, you know, these kids that are trained to be pro wrestlers and working at the independent shows, they're doing a lot of the work and they're crafting their skills and their character. I don't know how much character development occurs down at NXT, but I think a lot of character development occurs in independent shows.
Yeah, what do you think of the transition that Riddle has made to the main roster right now? Another guy with a legitimate background like yourself, and he's just seemingly selling tons of merch and having the time of his life, it looks like, with Randy Orton right now.
Yeah, he's doing extremely well, but he came in with a character, the bro thing. I mean, it worked so well, and they put him in the right place. You know, they teamed him up with Randy Orton. Randy's more of a miserable guy that doesn't get along with anybody, and here's this kid that kind of makes Randy like him, which Randy never likes anybody, you know, his character anyway. But
yeah,
he rubbed off on him, and it's a great story. And those are the kind of things that Gable Steveson is going to need to have along with his ability.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got to ask you, obviously, there's another guy who dabbled a bit in MMA and is now back in the world of pro wrestling. That's obviously CM Punk. What's your reaction to the CM Punk to return to pro wrestling? Are you as on fire about it as seemingly everybody else in the professional wrestling world right now?
Well, I think it's great for wrestling. You know, CM Punk was a huge name. He had an incredible impact on wrestling, on pro wrestling when he was in the WWE. So he made a great name for himself. And, you know, if he wants to return, hey, best to him. Good luck.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea that a Daniel Bryan could possibly wind up in the AEW flock here a lot sooner than later as well?
I'm really surprised at that. I never thought that WWE would let him go.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel was a big part of the company for the past 10 or so years. And he was literally the top babyface in the company for a few years. So I'm really surprised they let him go. But, you know, Daniel's probably happier in AEW for whatever reason. You know, I don't know if it was money or he wasn't happy with the direction of his character. But it had to be something that made him leave.
Yeah, you know, creatively, it's a really interesting time for pro wrestling, Kurt. I don't know what you think about the idea that AEW is seemingly presenting this grittier product right now, and WWE seems to be kind of moving more in a family-friendly direction right now. They don't really seem to want to have the same tone or vibe as an AEW right now.
Well, I don't think they can because they're publicly traded. And
Yeah.
I think that the shareholders put a lot of pressure on the big man and tell them, you know, keep everything PG rated, gear it more for younger kids. That's where the merchandise is.
Sure.
You know, the WWE, their theory is if kids are watching it, the parents are watching it too. And the parents are going to pay for the merchandise for the kids, and they're going to pay to go see the events. So they do have the right theory on it. But, you know, you're losing the young adults and the 18 to 40-year-olds that they had during the Attitude Era. That's more the way AEW's direction is right now. I mean, you know, they're swearing on the air. They're putting up their middle fingers. You know, it's more of an Attitude Era edge.
Yeah, and they're having Chris Jericho get sliced up with pizza cutters. I don't think we'd ever see that in Vince McMahon's WWE anytime soon.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So, Kurt, you know, you made a lot of news, or not news, but I guess created a lot of buzz here not long ago. You did that face-to-face photo with Miro. He's talked about how badly he wanted that match. Is that something you wish you'd have got to be able to do, have that bout with Miro?
Yes, I really did want that, and I know he did too. It's unfortunate it never happened. You know, at the time that he wanted it to occur, WWE wasn't looking at me. They wanted to see if I could stay out of trouble for a couple more years. I got the DUIs and I had a problem with alcohol and painkillers. I got myself through that, and I had to clean up my act. And by the time I got there, I was probably a little bit too old to produce the way I used to.
Sure.
The reason why I retired early is I wasn't at the level I was in my prime, and I don't want to do it if I can't be at that level. And I noticed I lost a step, and it just for me, I wasn't happy with it, so I decided to retire.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you say you've retired from in-ring action. You put out a thing like that with you and Miro face-to-face. Obviously, everybody's going to ask the question, well, is there one more match, right? You've outspokenly kind of not thought that the WrestleMania bout was, maybe the ideal way for you to have a retirement match. Have you talked to AEW about doing anything over there with them, even if it's not wrestling? Obviously, they have a lot of legends and managerial roles or elsewhere, something like that,
Yes, they offered me a couple of different contracts. I turned them down for personal reasons, but Tony Khan's been really nice to me, very generous, and I really appreciate his interest in me having me there. But at this particular time, I can't do it.
Did they want you to have a match, Kurt? Was that something Tony was like, hey, Kurt, you got one more in you? Did that ever come up?
The first offer, they wanted me to have many matches.
Wow. Whoa.
And,
okay.
The next offer, I think, was 3 matches. And then one was just an on-camera personality, no wrestling.
Man, yeah. You and Dan Lambert, man. I could see you guys having a lot of fun together. Dan Lambert is having the time of his life right now, cutting those old-school promos about how things used to be better in pro wrestling.
Yeah, they're actually pretty funny.
I thought you'd dig Dan Lambert. Well, while I have you here, I guess I'll ask you about, Brock Lesnar as well. He came back at the end of SummerSlam. It looks like he's going to be getting involved here with Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, that whole thing. What do you think about the return of Brock Lesnar to WWE? And do you think WWE doing this did a good job of kind of taking the buzz off of what CM Punk's return to pro wrestling over at AEW had at AEW Rampage?
Well, anytime you bring in Brock Lesnar, it's a huge deal. So, yes, it definitely took away from some of the buzz that was created when CM Punk and possibly Daniel Bryan joined AEW. But those they're both big names too, and I think that WWE did enough damage control by bringing Brock Lesnar in that I don't think it will affect them that much. But they did lose Daniel Bryan possibly, and CM Punk, I guess he was never going to go back to WWE, so it didn't matter with that.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like as well. Well, Kurt, I want to thank you so much for giving me some of your time here today. You got the new sneaker coming out, Garaxon. Where can people go out and find more information about the sneaker? Where can they buy it? All those great things, Kurt.
Well, follow me on social media. You'll see my posts. You'll see the website where you can order it. They're available only in the U.S. at this particular time, and it's for a limited time. It's only going to be up for a week. So, if you want to get the shoes, get them now while you can.